From frivolous forms of stress relief to expensive shortcuts to success, let's look at stuff poor people waste their money on. Number 14. Banking. Each year, banks bring in millions of dollars based on the transactions of their customers. With interest rates relatively low, those that don't have much in their account stand to lose the most as these costs add up. Overdraft fees, debit card swipe fees, wire transfer charges, and ATM withdrawal costs all add up to a higher, financially crippling percentage of savings for those with low income. Because of that, most poverty-stricken citizens turn to alternative banking methods such as credit unions, digital banking, and other options. Number 13. Smoking or vaping. The use of tobacco products has been proven time and again to be a fairly hazardous habit. Over 480,000 people pass away in the U.S. alone due to cigarette smoking, and as many as 7 million global fatalities are attributed to tobacco products each year. Studies have shown that those living in poverty keep up their smoking habit for twice the amount of time as those without significant financial troubles, and the same is true for those without a college degree as opposed to those with one. With a cost of $6 to $8 per pack on average, this habit can add up quick, especially when considering health costs. And even with new technology alternatives in vaping, the cost still makes up a hefty chunk of monthly expenses for those with low socioeconomic status. Number 12. Partying. A long week of work for little pay can be a stressful experience, and by the weekend, the want to unwind will most likely have reached its limit. Unfortunately, many low-income workers break the bank in search of stress relief, often in the form of nightlife and alcohol. Popular nightclubs, pubs, and bars can have everyday people paying upwards of $10 a drink, and a night out can easily run hundreds of dollars for those deciding to indulge themselves. But the opportunity to spend money is part of the allure of nightlife, with status being closely associated to cash spent. Everyone wants to look like a hotshot in the club, even if their bank account is going to feel it in the morning. Number 11. Gambling. Being strapped for cash can make it seem like money will solve all your problems. For millions of Americans, the desperation for an escape from poverty will turn them to roll the dice on a shortcut to wealth. Literally. A study done by the University of Buffalo Institute on Addictions found that the risk of problem gambling proved 2 times higher with Americans in impoverished neighborhoods. Whether it be in the form of buying local lottery tickets on a regular basis or taking trips to a casino or horse track, the act of gambling can not only tempt low-income citizens but become compulsive as well. And the more money spent on gambling, the greater the need for redemption. No matter the wager, the poor walk a fine line when betting what little money they have, a path that could spiral out of control if not managed right. Number 10. New tech. Everyone knows a person that always needs to have the latest technology. Despite whatever their current financial situation may be, they make sure to have the latest iPhone, the latest gaming console, the latest tablet, and so forth. For those that rely on such devices for work, this can be a reasonable investment and, if taken advantage of, will pay off in the long run. On the other hand, many people make these acquisitions for the sake of the status associated with such products, or as an impulse buy, or simply wanting to reward themselves. New technology is a luxury outside of professional purposes, often costing hundreds or even thousands of dollars, and should not be treated as such when managing your budget. Number 9. Games and apps. In this day and age, having a smartphone is a basic necessity for survival. Applying for employment, banking, networking, any responsibility you might have is made all the more accessible thanks to this modern technology. But for many, smartphones are just as distracting as they are helpful. Games and social media applications can keep your eyes glued to your phone screen for hours on end. Adding to the damage are the purchases that can be made within these apps. Popular game Candy Crush brought in a whopping $3 million per day at its peak, and Fortnite, which boasts 250 million players, averages just under $85 spent per user. So mind your savings and your time when playing games. They might be more expensive than they're worth. Number 8. New cars. Reliable transportation is a requirement for the majority of careers in the United States. This can prove to be a hindrance to many struggling to find work or make ends meet at a minimum wage position. On the one hand, we're in an age where more people below the poverty line have access to cars than ever before, with just 20% of poor adults reporting a lack of vehicle in a 2016 census. At the same time, though, a significant amount of low-income earners choose to purchase a brand new car rather than a used option, signing up for years of hefty payments in the process. This increases even more when accounting for upkeep costs, insurance rates, and registration fees. And with the value of new vehicles dropping 20% within the first 12 months of ownership, it's like a poor investment that returns negative 20% in the first year. Number 7. Health afflictions. The cost to maintain your health is high, especially in the United States, and it only continues to increase. Many times, the need to see a doctor can be outweighed by the damage it will do to one's financial standing, and as a result, millions avoid medical costs by simply tolerating whatever minor issues they might be having. This is a dangerous game to play, though, as health issues have a tendency to snowball into something more serious the longer they go unchecked. For example, an annual checkup or physical exam might not seem worth it at the time, but it's a lot cheaper than waiting until you absolutely need heart surgery to find out just how high your cholesterol has risen. After all, a doctor's visit is going to cost significantly less than a funeral. Number 6. Brand name caffeine. A pound of ground coffee can make about 48 6-ounce cups of joe and can cost an average of just $7.50. So it should be a no-brainer to make coffee at home for those on a tight budget in need of a caffeine fix, right? Surprisingly, many continue to instead visit their local Starbucks for a $5 special seasonal or extra decadent beverage instead. Or they turn to pricey energy drinks, which can cost over $3 a can when purchased individually. And more often than not, one can or cup isn't enough to get through the day as one's caffeine tolerance wanes. While this expense might be negligible to the everyday middle-class businessman, minimum wage earners drain their funds fast on an easily avoidable, however quick, solution to their exhaustion. Number 5. Fitness and diets. Being strapped for cash will lead many to find some other sort of self-fulfillment, oftentimes in the form of self-improvement, and dire circumstances can make the need for results feel urgent. So it's no wonder that so many low-income citizens turn to strange fitness products and diets in hopes to make some sort of progress in life. These programs and products may sound too good to be true, and too often it's because they are. Many times, the advertising campaigns surrounding such services employ personal trainers, fitness models, and athletes to endorse them, people who spend their lives getting fit through all sorts of means and lengthy amounts of dedication. For poverty-stricken customers, the actual time and financial investment required to get that picturesque figure is currently outside their means. And these quick fix answers are nothing but a money sink. Number 4. Food waste. Throwing away perfectly edible food or letting it expire is a major offense many are guilty of in this day and age, but it's not a bad habit exclusively to the wealthy. Most everyone attempts to purchase only what they would consume, but the vast majority of people get this consistently wrong. The average person ends up tossing 14% of meat, 17% of dairy products, and 40% of vegetables they purchase. In America, that averages out to nearly $2,000 per household in food gone to waste per year. Number 3. Impulse purchases. In today's consumer culture, it can be difficult to avoid the urge to splurge on that heavily advertised product you didn't know you wanted until you saw it. Whether it be a funny t-shirt, a niche appliance, or a dessert you didn't make room for, marketing departments know how to test your will, and those under the poverty line have the most to lose. The difficulty of living a low-income lifestyle will often leave one turning to purchases for gratification, and the want to reward yourself can be irresistible. This takes away necessary funding for the essentials, or at the very least, removes funds that could be saved up for future necessities. And for the poor, repeating this behavior can impede potential progress to better financial standing. Number 2. Beautification. Low income can often result in low self-esteem, and if you can't feel rich sometimes, the next best thing is to feel pretty. From shaving cream and lotion to mascara and lipstick, name-brand beauty products can cost an outrageous amount, especially when the generic options often have all the same ingredients. But it's services like those provided in hair salons and spas that can really put a hurt on your wallet. Extravagant manicures or hairstyles can cost a pretty penny. They tend to be even more alluring to those that wish to appear successful, even when their bank account says otherwise. Number 1. Credit cards. Credit cards are a tricky thing. On the one hand, they're an alluring fix to financial emergencies when short on funds. However, this is a pitfall for many low-earning people, as the inability to pay off your credit cards will immediately put you in debt, and suddenly you're working for the bank instead of your own well-being. With plenty of credit card companies and banks to choose from, maxing out cards can become an easy, though temporary, solution for those struggling to survive, and the resulting hole they dig ends up costing much more in the long run.